Good morning, students. The session is about note making. Let's see what is note making. The class is about what, when, why, and how of note making. So, note making is a systematic way of recording the information which is important for the future use. So, you can give the definition of note making like that. It is a reviewing, collecting, and synthesizing of ideas which you receive from a textbook or a lecture. So now are you clear with what is note making? Now let's go, when are you supposed to take the notes? So when is note making needed? So when I say it is a recording of information. So when do you record an information? When it is very important. When you are keen in making note of it and storing it for a future use. So note making is needed when you go in search of a knowledge which is very useful for the future of yours. So in that case, you have to take the notes and so that you review it and revise it for the future purpose. So this is where the note making helps you, and this is what the when of note making. The why of note making. Note making not only lessens the burden of your brain, it has various other purposes also. So the first one is, you can take a look at the slide, it keeps you active. How does note making keeps you active? See, when you take notes, you are not a passive listener or a passive reader. You are an active person there. So it keeps you active. Your brain is very active. You cannot be physically present and mentally absent when the note making is done. And the second point is, it improves your focus and attention. See, unless you are attentive, you cannot take your notes. You have to have focus on whatever is said or read. Only then the note making is possible. So, by taking notes, you can improve your focus and attention. Then the next one is quick learning. Learning process becomes quick if you take notes while you read or listen to a lecture. And next one is a personalized convenience. It is a very convenient form of writing skill. And at the same time, it's a personalized one. Why am I saying that it's a personalized one? See, when you take notes, you are writing down whatever you have understood about the concept and what way you have understood is your thing. And you are putting it in your own words. Understanding and putting it in the paper is everything your personalized effort. So it is a personalized, convenient one. And the next and the foremost thing is easy to review and revise. See, when you take notes, you jot down the points and you take it as ends. So it is like a whole lot of information presented in a very small form. So it will be easy for you to review and revise when there is a need to see it again. And at the same time, it is a reversible and alterable one. Since it is a personalized one, you can alter it as per your convenience and need. And it can also, the format is also reversible. So these are the merits of note making, how of note making. Before I go to that how, I'll tell you, note making can be done in two ways. See, you can read and take notes at the same, another way is you can listen and take notes. So when you read, it's a different process, and when you listen, it's a different process. So when you read, you do skimming and scamming. When it's a listening, it's a different way. Okay, now let's see the steps for note taking. So when it comes to note taking, you have to listen. Listening is a skill which is applied in note taking. So when you go for a lecture and you need to note down the important things, then you have to listen to the passage and take notes. So the first and the foremost thing is jot down the important sentences. Please don't take each and every word which comes from the mouth of the speaker. So that will not help you in making the notes. Jot down only the important sentences. So even that will help you in making the headings and subheadings. And even at the same year, first make the rough note. So that rough notes will help you to make an organized final note. So the first step is making a rough note, and then organize them in a logical order that you come to a final note which is a perfect one. Use an appropriate note making format even for the lecture method. Don't change the idea or the passage of the passage. The last 2 points is the same for the note making and the note taking. So now having a glimpse of what is steps that is involved in note making and note taking, let us go for the tips. I have some valuable tips on using which you can make an effective note making. When you come to note making, the first and the foremost tip is that skim the introduction, conclusion, and the beginning and the ending of the paragraph to get main ideas. When it comes to note taking, be very attentive at the beginning and at the end of a lecture, because it is here where the speaker sums up all the important points. So this is a basic tip for note making and a note taking. Tips for the note making. Don't write everything that is said or heard. Make notes in a meaningful way. Be brief, clear, and specific while taking notes. See, don't take detailed notes. Be brief, because it will sum up of an whole lot of information into a gist. So your notes should be brief, the same time clear and specific. Never lose the main idea of the information. Don't concentrate too much on the subheadings or the subtopics. Concentrate more on the main idea of the information. Never lose the main idea of the information. Organize the rough notes in an interesting way. See, when you take notes and you leave it just like that, then the purpose of it is lost. It becomes a complete one only when the rough notes is organized in an interesting way. As I told you before, we take notes so that we less the burden of our brain. We have put the information in a paper, and when you need it in future, that information put in the paper should help you to revise or review. If you don't organize that, you will end up in a mess. Rewrite your notes in a neat and colorful summary. See, your note making can be done in a very interesting way. It can be very colorful. So you can use all your creative ideas while you rewrite your notes. When you take the notes, it can be like points, but while you rewrite it, it can be done in a creative way. All those things will make your learning more interesting when you revise or review the notes. And you can also use triggers like mnemonic devices, colors, or drawings. All these things, as I said before, will make your note making very interesting. Use abbreviations or symbols to speed the process. See, when it's a lecture and you are taking notes, you have to be on par with the speed of the speaker. That being the case, it'll take much of your time if you're writing the old words. You can use symbols and abbreviations as you take the notes. It'll speed the process. Use quotation marks to avoid plagiarism. There are certain instances where you would like to put the ideas in just as said by the speaker. If that being the case, please use the quotation marks to avoid plagiarism. Avoid too much of highlighting in the text. If you are making notes with help of your text, we tend to highlight each and every point. Please don't do that. You will end up getting confused, which is a main and which is a sub point. So avoid too much of highlighting when you do the note making with the text. So these are the basic tips on making use of it. You can make your note making a very interesting and then useful one. Now let's see the formats for note making. We have a heading. The main idea will be the heading, and the less important ones will be the subheading. And under that you have some points. And for the subheading you will have subheading and then subpoints. So it goes like that. And at the bottom of that format, you are supposed to write the keywords. See, when I said when you take notes, you can opt for abbreviations and symbols. Those abbreviations or symbols used by you on that particular day might not be in your mind when you go for a revision in the future. So that being the case, please make note of the keywords. The abbreviations and the explanation should take place there, so that when you revise it, you will not end up in a mess or you will not be confused. So there is no need to ruffle your brain to get the points. So make note of the key. This is one format of taking notes. And there is another tutorial way of writing the notes, mind mapping. So mind mapping is also one form of taking notes. It's not that always you have to write sentences or points. You can do it in a diagrammatic way also. There are certain notes which can be taken in the form of a mind mapping also. Once taken in a mind map, it will be easy for you to understand the whole lot of information in one particular page. So these are the formats which you can make use while taking notes or making notes. So for both, for taking and making, you can use either of these formats. So now I've told what is note making, and when are you supposed to take notes, and how are you to take the notes, and the formats of the notes. Now shall we go to the next topic, factual description. As the name implies, it is a description of the facts. So it is, when you say description, it doesn't mean you can describe just like that. It is a systematic way, a logical way of moving the details about a person, place, or a thing. And that is what is factual description. So even a factual description has a format. You can't just like that use words or tenses while you write a factual description. While you do write a factual description, the most important thing which you need to take care is the tense. So you are supposed to use the same tense till the end, and mostly the tense which is used is present tense. So when you say the factual description, it can be based on various things. It can be based on person, place, object, a process, or an event. But the attributes which you should take care differs from each and every aspects. So when it is a person based, what are the attributes which you need to take care of as physical attribute of that person? While the description is about that person, you have to describe the physical appearance of that person. And next comes the intellectual and emotional qualities of that person. And not only that, you should write what others perceive of that person. That is more important, what others seem as. And to make it more interesting, each and every person will be have a special trait. So that special trait of that person also needs to be mentioned when the description is about a person. So now let's go to the next thing, the factual description about a place. So what are the details that you need to take care when it is regarding a place? Location. The first and foremost thing is location of that place which you are describing. Then the dimensions of that place. And so just as you take care of the special trait of a person, a special feature of that place is also to be taken care when it is a factual description of a place. And the next thing is more important about when it is a place. You can, and if it is an historical place, you can make note of any important historical events that has taken place there. Now, coming to the object-based factual description. So since it is an object, even here the physical description of the object is more important. When I say physical description, what are the details which you need to take care of is color of the object, design of that object, and the material used. So after this, the most important thing for an object-based description is the utility value of that object. Only if you say the utility of the value of the object, it gains importance, it gains momentum. So when it comes to an object-based factual description, the utility value of the object is more important, and that has to be described in detail. And the fourth one is process-based factual description. So when I say process, it is a process of something. It is something, you are going to describe something in process. So most of the thing, the main thing which comes under this category is the recipe. So when you say recipe, what comes to your mind? The ingredients involved in making that recipe and a step-by-step description of that process. So what are the details that you need to take care for a process-based factual description is ingredients and materials used for that particular thing. And the steps involved should come in a correct order. See, when you take a recipe, once if the step changes, then the whole thing will become a mess. So for a new person who cooks, the step-by-step description will help them a lot, and if it is not in a correct sequence, then they will end up in a mess. And while your description is process-based, then you can use connectors like the first thing, the second thing, and then etc. like that. And the last comes the event-based factual description. When the description is about an event, so the most important thing which you have to make note of is the date of the event. So the first and the foremost thing is the date of the event, and the other details of the event can follow it. And the purpose of the event is also more important. The venue of the event and the arrangement made for that particular event, and the interaction that took place in that event, and finally the conclusion of the event. So these are the details that you need to take care of when you go for the factual description. But the details that are to be taken care differs from the types of the factual description. As I said, for the person, you need to take care of the traits or anything that needs to be given more importance. When it comes to a place, it is a special feature of that place. And when it comes to the object, the utility value of the object should be given more importance. And when it is a process-based one, the correct sequence of it should be given more importance. And when it is an event, the date and the purpose of the event should be taken care. So this is what the types of factual description. Having seen the different types of factual descriptions, now let's go to the steps involved in factual description. The first and the foremost thing and the most vital thing in a factual description is it is a step-by-step account of the process. So it has to be done in a very systematic way. When I say description, it is not just like taking a pen and writing a few adjectives on anything about a person or a place or an event. It has to be a step-by-step account. So it has to be done in a systematic way, in a meticulous way. Even for factual description, you have formats. And before I end my session, I'll give you the formats. The heading is an essential part of it. And the heading should be very short and at the same time catchy. The idea should be systematically presented with important points coming initially and the not so important points following it. You should make your factual description in such a way that the attention is given to your observatory skill. It's not that you have to show your linguistic skill while you do a factual description. The language is not that important as the observatory skill of yours is needed. And the tense, that is the most important thing that is to be taken care for a factual description. It should be same throughout, and most probably the tense used for a factual description is the present tense. Now I'm going to show you a scaffold of the factual description. So here in the slide you can see the factual description scaffold is being presented. So this will give you an idea of how to present a factual description. So the first thing will be a general opening statement, and that is your first paragraph. Okay. When I say the general opening statement, it is where you introduce your subject of description to the audience. So the opening statement can give a very brief detail of about whom or what you are going to talk about. So that is the opening statement, and that will be your first paragraph. And the first paragraph will be followed by a series of paragraphs. And these series of paragraphs will give more detailing about the subject which you are describing. So when I say the series of paragraphs, each paragraph should describe only one feature of the subject. Please see to it that you don't mince too many things in one paragraph. And all these series of paragraphs will the description of the subject which you are tending to describe. And the last is a concluding paragraph. So the concluding paragraph has some words which signals the end of the text. So this is how we are supposed to present the factual description. Here you can see the model of a factual description. So seeing the scaffold, I think now you can relate it with this model of the factual description. Followed by the opening statement where you introduce a subject to the reader, comes a series of paragraphs. And as said in the scaffold, as you have seen it in the scaffold, you should have a series of paragraphs, and only one attribute should be mentioned or described in one paragraph. So here you can see the first series of paragraphs tells about its length, height and all those things. And the second talks about its legs and neck. And the third talks about the tail particularly. And the fourth is about the toes of the dinosaur. So each and every paragraph deals with one particular subject. So seeing that, you will get a clear idea of how it has to be written. So now compare what is shown in the scaffold with that of the model of this factual description. So in the scaffold, you would have seen the opening statement followed by a series of paragraphs and then the conclusion. Here, if you see in this model, you can see the heading at first and then the opening statement where you are being introduced to the subject. And here the subject of the description is a dinosaur. And this opening statement is followed by a series of paragraphs. And you can also clearly make out that each and every paragraph deals with one particular aspect of the subject. The first paragraph deals with the height and the length of the dinosaur. And the second deals with its tail, legs, and neck. And the third deals particularly about the tail. And the fourth one is about the toes of the dinosaur. So the series of paragraphs describing the subjects is senior. And the last one, as shown in the scaffold, it is a conclusion. So they conclude this description by saying that it is an interesting example of a fast-running dinosaur. So this clearly states that the description comes to one conclusion. So this is how a factual description should be made. So it starts with an ending, an open statement where the subject has been introduced, and a series of paragraphs where aspects of the subject which you are describing comes, and the last is a conclusion which ends with some interesting news about the subject which you are describing. And further to make note, you can see the grammatical features used in the description. So the two thing grammar part which is used in a factual description is which we need to take care is the tense and the adjectives. Since it is a description, it is more of adjectives which is used in a factual description. And tense, as I said, you should stick to one particular tense right from the beginning till the end, and mostly it will be the timeless present tense. And you can also make note of the topic sentences which are shown here. So this, I think that this model of the factual description will help you to get a clear idea of what a factual description is and how are you to write it. So now coming hen to this session of ours. So today I have dealt with two writing skills. One is a note making and other is a factual description. So two have their own purpose of writing. And when it comes to note making, it is a very higher level of writing. Note making doesn't come just like that. It comes more out of practice. The more you keep taking notes, the more you become efficient in making notes. Efficient note making will help you in a very long run, not only to you, to anyone who comes across the notes. But be very systematic in doing the note making. Taking notes and just throwing it will never help you. You have to take the notes, organize it, and then you write the gist of it as a paragraph so that when you refer it, even after many years, that note making will help you to recollect whatever you have made note of it. And for the factual description, be very careful because it is about facts. It's only about facts, nothing which is woven just like that on your own. So since it is a fact, the more you need to concentrate is don't show your linguistic skill, show your observation skill. A person who reads your factual description should appreciate your observational skill and not your linguistic skill. Let your language be simple but clear enough, and words should be, the adjectives used should be fit enough to give the particular description. So more of adjectives knowledge and using of tense in the correct place will help you to produce a very good factual description. So children, shall we go to the evaluation session now? Let me check if you have got whatever I have said today. I'll put a few questions. See if you can answer. And if you can answer it is that you have got whatever I've said today. So the first question is, what is note making? The second one is, what's the difference between note making and note taking? The third question is, what are the steps that are involved in note making? And the fourth one is, what is factual description? Fifth one is, what are the details that you need to take care of while doing a factual description? Okay, children, with the question session, we come to the end of the session today. I think my questions are answerable. Thank you, children.